It was a warm Tuesday afternoon in London. The streets were busy with people walking fast to get to work or home. Cars moved slowly in the heavy traffic. Among all these busy people was a small brown dog. He sat quietly outside a small coffee shop called Morning Brew. The dog was a Jack Russell Terrier with bright brown eyes and a white spot on his chest. He had a red collar with a silver tag that showed his name, Max. Max was very well behaved. He sat still and did not bark at people who walked by. He just waited for his owner to come back. Inside the coffee shop, people enjoyed their drinks. They could see Max through the big glass windows, but no one knew who owned him. Some people smiled when they saw him sitting so patiently. Not far away, a big man named Tom parked his motorcycle next to the curb. Tom wore a black leather jacket with patches on it, heavy black boots, and had many tattoos on his arms. His face looked angry. He had just lost all his money at a betting shop down the street. Tom had spent hours betting on horse races. He thought he would win big money, but instead he lost everything. He also drank 4 beers while placing his bets. This made him even more angry and not thinking clearly. As Tom walked past the coffee shop, he noticed Max sitting there. Tom did not like dogs. When he was young, a dog had bitten him, and since then he hated all dogs. Seeing Max made Tom even more angry. Tom looked around to see if anyone was watching him. Most people were busy looking at their phones or talking to friends. No one paid attention to him or the dog. "Stupid little dog," Tom said under his breath. He walked closer to Max. Max wagged his tail when he saw Tom coming toward him. The small dog thought Tom might pet him or be friendly. Max did not know that Tom was a mean person. Without warning, Tom kicked Max. His heavy boot hit the small dog in the side. Max yelped loudly in pain and fear. The sound was sharp and sad. Tom laughed. His laugh was ugly and mean. "Not so happy now, are you?" he said to the frightened dog. Max tried to run away, but Tom stepped in front of him. The dog was trapped between Tom and the wall of the coffee shop. Max's tail went between his legs, and he made himself as small as possible. A few people nearby heard the dog yelp. An old woman stopped walking and looked at Tom with angry eyes. A young man with a backpack also noticed what happened, but he seemed unsure what to do. "Mind your own business," Tom shouted at them. The old woman took out her phone and started to record what was happening. Tom reached down to grab Max's collar. His big hand almost touched the red collar when someone spoke behind him. "I wouldn't do that if I were you." The voice was deep and calm, but there was something in it that made Tom stop immediately. It was the kind of voice that commanded respect. The kind of voice that belonged to someone who was not afraid. Tom turned around slowly. When he saw who was standing there, his mouth opened in shock. It was Jason Statham. The famous actor stood there in simple clothes, a black t-shirt and blue jeans. His arms were strong, and his eyes were serious. Everyone knew Jason Statham from his action movies where he fought bad guys. "That's my dog," Jason Statham said. His words were simple, but his eyes showed he was very angry. Tom's face turned pale. He suddenly realized he had made a very big mistake. Tom stood frozen in place. Jason Statham was right in front of him. The famous actor looked even stronger in real life than in his movies. His eyes were fixed on Tom, and they were not friendly. I didn't know it was your dog," Tom said. His voice was shaky now. All his anger had turned into fear. Jason took a step closer to Tom. "So it's okay to kick a dog if it doesn't belong to someone famous?" he asked. His voice was quiet but very serious. Tom didn't know what to say. He looked around and saw that more people had stopped to watch. Some had their phones out, recording everything. The old woman who had started recording earlier smiled with satisfaction. Max, the small Jack Russell Terrier, ran to Jason. The dog moved behind Jason's legs but kept his eyes on Tom. Max was still scared but felt safer now that his owner was there. "Look, I'm sorry," Tom said. He took a step back. "I was just having a bad day. I'll go now." Tom turned to leave, walking quickly toward his motorcycle. But Jason moved faster and stepped in front of him, blocking his path. "Not so fast," Jason said. "You hurt an innocent animal for fun. What kind of man does that?" By now, a small crowd had gathered around them. People whispered to each other when they recognized Jason Statham. Some pointed at their phones, showing friends who couldn't see well. "That's Jason Statham," someone said loudly. "The guy in the leather jacket kicked his dog," another person explained. Tom's face turned red with embarrassment. He felt trapped. Everyone was watching him, and they all thought he was a bad person. Maybe he was. "Just let me go," Tom said. He tried to sound tough, but his voice cracked. "Or what? You want to fight me? Is that it?" Jason shook his head slowly. "I don't want to fight you. I want you to learn that actions have consequences." A young woman in the crowd called out, "I called the police. They're on their way." When Tom heard this, panic filled his eyes. He couldn't get arrested. He already had problems with the police from other things he had done. If they caught him again, he might go to jail. In a moment of desperation, Tom tried to push past Jason. He shoved hard against the actor's shoulder, trying to knock him out of the way. But Jason didn't move much. He was solid like a rock. Instead, he grabbed Tom's arm and held it firmly. "Let me go," Tom shouted. He tried to pull his arm free, but Jason's grip was too strong. "You're not going anywhere," Jason said calmly. Tom, now very scared and angry, made a big mistake. He swung his free hand at Jason's face, trying to punch him. Jason moved his head just slightly. The punch missed completely. In one smooth motion, Jason twisted Tom's arm and turned him around. Before Tom knew what was happening, he was facing the ground. Jason had him in a hold that didn't hurt much but made it impossible for Tom to move. All those years of training for action movies had made Jason very good at controlling someone without hurting them badly. "Someone take care of my dog, please," Jason called out to the crowd. A kind-looking woman stepped forward. "I'll watch him," she said, kneeling down to comfort Max. The small dog was still nervous but allowed the woman to pet him gently. The crowd grew larger. People from the coffee shop came outside to see what was happening. Cars slowed down as drivers tried to see the famous actor holding down a man on the sidewalk. "Is that really Jason Statham?" asked a teenage boy who had just arrived. "Yes," answered a man next to him. "That guy kicked his dog, and now he's in big trouble." In the distance, police sirens could be heard getting closer. The police sirens got louder and louder. Soon, a police car with flashing blue lights pulled up to the curb. Two officers stepped out and pushed through the crowd. "What's going on here?" asked the first officer. She was tall with short brown hair. Her name tag said Officer Clark. The second officer, a man with a serious face, looked surprised when he saw Jason Statham holding Tom down on the ground. "This man kicked my dog," Jason explained. He spoke calmly, as if this was a normal day for him. "When I confronted him, he tried to run away and then took a swing at me." Officer Clark looked at Tom, who was still pinned down. "Is this true, sir?" she asked him. Tom's face was red with shame and anger. "It's not how he says it," he shouted. "I barely touched the dog. Then this guy attacked me." The old woman who had been recording stepped forward. "That's not true," she said firmly. "I saw everything. This man kicked the small dog hard, and then he laughed about it. I have it all on my phone." Several other people in the crowd nodded in agreement. "I recorded it too," said a young man in a blue jacket. "He definitely kicked the dog first, and Mr. Statham only grabbed him when he tried to run away." Officer Clark nodded. "We'll need to see those videos," she said. Then she turned to her partner. "Officer Wilson, please help Mr. Statham up and make sure the suspect is secure." Officer Wilson helped Jason stand while keeping a firm grip on Tom's arm. He put handcuffs on Tom's wrists. "This is ridiculous," Tom yelled. "It's just a stupid dog." Many people in the crowd gasped at his words. A few shouted angry comments at Tom. Jason walked over to where Max was being petted by the kind woman. The small dog wagged his tail when he saw his owner. Jason carefully picked Max up and checked him for injuries. "Is he okay?" asked Officer Clark, coming over to Jason. "I think so," Jason replied, "but I'd like to have a vet check him to make sure." A man in a light blue shirt stepped out from the crowd. "I'm a veterinarian," he said. "My clinic is just down the street. I'd be happy to check your dog right now, no charge." Jason nodded gratefully. "Thank you, that would be great." Officer Wilson was now putting Tom in the back of the police car. Tom had stopped shouting and looked defeated. He stared at the floor of the police car, avoiding everyone's eyes. "We'll need a statement from you, Mr. Statham," said Officer Clark, "and from anyone else who witnessed what happened." "Of course," Jason replied. "I can come to the station after I make sure my dog is okay." Officer Clark smiled. "That works for us. We'll take this gentleman to the station now. Animal cruelty is a serious offense." As the police car drove away with Tom in the back seat, people in the crowd started to ask Jason for autographs and photos. "I'm sorry," Jason said politely but firmly. "Right now I need to take care of Max. He's had a rough day." The crowd understood and made a path for Jason to walk through. Many people patted him on the shoulder or said kind words as he passed. Jason, carrying Max carefully in his arms, walked with the veterinarian toward his clinic. The small dog seemed calmer now, but still trembled a little. "You're a hero," the vet said as they walked. "Not many people would stand up like that." Jason shook his head. "I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone should do when they see someone hurting an animal. The real heroes are the people who recorded what happened and were willing to speak up." As they walked, many people on the street recognized Jason. News of what had happened was already spreading through social media. People were sharing the videos and telling the story of how Jason Statham had saved his dog from a mean biker. By the time they reached the vet clinic, the story was already going viral online. The veterinary clinic was small but clean. It had light blue walls and pictures of happy pets on the walls. A young woman at the front desk looked up and gasped when Jason Statham walked in with Max in his arms. "Dr. Miller, your next patient is here," she called out, trying to stay professional despite her surprise at seeing the famous actor. Dr. Miller, the vet who had offered his help, led Jason to a small exam room. "Let's take a look at this brave little fellow," he said, gently placing Max on the examination table. Max stayed very still as Dr. Miller checked him over. The dog seemed to know the vet was trying to help him. Jason stood nearby, his face worried as he watched. "Will he be okay?" Jason asked. His tough movie star image was gone now. He was just a concerned pet owner. Dr. Miller moved his hands carefully over Max's body, checking for injuries. "He's going to be fine," the vet said after a few minutes. "He has some bruising on his side, but no broken bones. I'll give you some pain medicine for him, but he should recover quickly." Jason let out a deep breath. "Thank you," he said, relief clear in his voice. "He's been with me for 5 years. He's my best mate." While Dr. Miller prepared the medicine for Max, Jason's phone rang. He looked at it and saw it was his agent calling. "Hello," Jason answered. "Jason, have you seen social media?" his agent asked excitedly. "You're trending everywhere. People are calling you a hero for saving your dog from that biker." Jason sighed. "I'm not a hero. I just did what anyone would do." "Well, the internet disagrees," his agent replied. "There are already 3 videos of the incident with millions of views. News websites are trying to get your statement. This is great publicity." Jason frowned. "This isn't about publicity. It's about doing the right thing. I need to go now. I'm at the vet with Max." He hung up the phone and turned his attention back to Max. The small dog wagged his tail when Jason petted him gently. Dr. Miller returned with the medicine. "Here you go," he said, handing Jason a small bottle of pills. "Give him one each morning and evening for the next 3 days, and keep him quiet for a week. No rough play." Jason nodded. "Thanks again for your help." As Jason was preparing to leave with Max, his phone buzzed with a text message from Officer Clark. "We need your statement at the station when you're ready. The suspect is being charged with animal cruelty." Outside the clinic, a small group of people had gathered. Word had spread quickly about where Jason had taken his dog. When Jason stepped out with Max safely in his arms, the people cheered. "Is your dog okay?" someone called out. "He'll be fine, thanks," Jason replied with a small smile. A woman with a notebook pushed to the front of the group. "I'm from the London Times," she said. "Can I get a statement about what happened today?" Jason thought for a moment. He didn't want more attention, but he also saw a chance to say something important. "I don't want to talk about myself," he said, "but I do want to say something about animal cruelty. It's never okay to hurt an animal. If you see someone hurting an animal, speak up or call for help. Don't just walk by and do nothing." The reporter wrote down his words quickly. "Can I ask one more question?" she said. "Your fans want to know, is this the dog that appears in your latest movie?" Jason smiled, a real smile this time. "Yes, this is Max. He's my off-screen partner and on-screen co-star. He's actually a better actor than I am." People laughed at this. As Jason walked away, still carrying Max carefully, people moved aside to let him pass. Many took photos, but most were respectful of his space. Jason's phone kept buzzing with messages and calls, but he ignored it. Right now, all he cared about was getting Max home to rest. The fame, the movies, the attention, none of it mattered as much as making sure his loyal friend was safe and comfortable. Little did Jason know that this simple act of standing up for his dog would have far-reaching effects in the days to come. The next morning, Jason woke up early. Max was sleeping in his special bed next to Jason's. The small dog seemed peaceful, but Jason still checked him carefully. The bruise on Max's side looked better, but Jason knew it still hurt. "Breakfast time, buddy," Jason said softly. Max opened his eyes and wagged his tail slowly. Jason gave him the pain medicine from Dr. Miller, hidden in a small piece of cheese. While Max ate his breakfast, Jason turned on his phone. He had turned it off last night after too many calls and messages. As soon as the phone came on, it started buzzing nonstop. "Wow," Jason said to himself. He had 47 missed calls and over 200 text messages. Many were from friends and family who had seen the videos online. Others were from TV shows wanting him to appear and talk about what happened. Jason's agent had sent him links to news stories about the incident. One headline read, "Action star Jason Statham becomes real-life hero." Another said, "Statham defends dog from cruel biker." The third read, "Fans call for stronger animal protection laws after Statham incident." Just as Jason was reading the news, his doorbell rang. He looked through the window and saw a delivery man with a large box. "Package for Jason Statham," the man said, trying not to look too excited about meeting the famous actor. Jason signed for the box and brought it inside. When he opened it, he found it full of dog toys, treats, and a card that read, "To Max, the bravest dog in London. Get well soon. From the staff at Pet Life Store." This was just the first delivery. Throughout the morning, more packages arrived. Some were from pet stores, others from fans. By noon, Jason's living room was filled with gifts for Max. "Looks like you're more popular than me now," Jason told Max, who was happily chewing on a new toy. At 1:00 p.m., Jason had to leave for the police station to give his statement about what happened with Tom. He didn't want to leave Max alone, so he called his friend Mark, who lived nearby. "Of course I'll watch him," Mark said when he arrived. "Everyone's talking about what happened, by the way. You did a good thing, Jason." At the police station, many officers wanted to shake Jason's hand. Even though he was famous, they were treating him like a hero because of what he did for his dog. Officer Clark took Jason to a quiet room to get his official statement about what happened. The man who kicked your dog, Tom Brenner, has a history of trouble with the law, Officer Clark told Jason. He's been charged with animal cruelty, attempting to flee, and assault. What will happen to him? Jason asked. That's up to the judge, Officer Clark said. But we have many witnesses and clear videos. He won't get away with it. After Jason gave his statement, he was surprised to see a group of people waiting outside the police station. They weren't fans wanting autographs. They were people with their dogs, holding signs that said, "Thank you," and "Stand up against animal cruelty." One woman stepped forward with a small white dog in her arms. "Mr. Statham, I run an animal rescue center," she said. "What you did yesterday has already made a difference. We've received twice our usual donations today, and 3 dogs have been adopted. People are talking about animal protection because of you." Jason felt moved by her words. "I just did what anyone should do," he said. "But not everyone would," the woman replied. "And now you've inspired others to speak up too." As Jason walked to his car, he thought about what the woman said. He had made many action movies where he played a hero. But this was different. This was real life. And somehow, standing up for Max had touched people in a way his movies never had. Back home, Jason found Max feeling better, playing with Mark and the mountain of new toys. His phone rang again. It was his film director. "Jason, I have an idea," the director said. "It's about your next movie." "What's your idea?" Jason asked his director, David, over the phone. He sat down on his couch and Max jumped up to sit beside him. "You know the movie we're starting next month," David said excitedly. "The one where you play an ex-soldier who fights crime. I want to add a dog to the story. Your dog, Max. After what happened yesterday, people love him. It would be perfect." Jason looked at Max, who was now resting his head on Jason's leg. "You want Max to be in the movie?" "Yes," David said. "He can be your character's loyal partner. Think about it. Tough guy with a soft spot for his dog. People will love it." Jason thought about it. Max had been in one of his movies before, but only for a small part. "Let me think about it," Jason told David. "Max has had a rough couple of days." After hanging up, Jason turned on the TV. He was shocked to see his own face on the news. The reporter was standing outside the coffee shop where the incident with Tom had happened. "This is where action star Jason Statham confronted a man who had kicked his dog," the reporter said. "What happened next has sparked a nationwide conversation about animal cruelty." The news showed clips from the videos people had taken, with the moment of the kick blurred out to protect viewers. Then they showed interviews with people who had seen what happened. "He didn't act like a celebrity," said the old woman who had first started recording. "He acted like someone who cares about animals. We need more people like that." The news then showed a serious-looking man in a suit. The caption said he was from the Royal Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, RSPCA. "Reports of animal cruelty have increased in recent years," the man said. "But so has the number of people reporting these crimes. What Mr. Statham did was a perfect example of standing up for animals who cannot speak for themselves." Jason turned off the TV when his phone rang again. This time, it was a number he didn't recognize. "Hello," he answered cautiously. "Mr. Statham," said a woman's voice. "My name is Sarah Johnson. I'm a teacher at Greenwood Elementary School. My students saw what happened with your dog, and they've made get-well cards for Max. They were wondering if there's an address where they could send them." Jason was touched by this. "That's very kind," he said. "I can have someone pick them up if that's easier." By evening, Jason had received calls from 3 animal charities asking if he would support their work. He had always given money to animal causes, but now they wanted him to be the face of their campaigns. "What do you think, Max?" Jason asked his dog as they sat together. "Should we use all this attention to help other animals?" Max looked up at Jason and wagged his tail as if saying yes. Jason's sister, Kelly, called next. "I'm so proud of you," she said. "Mom is telling everyone her son is a hero." "I'm not a hero," Jason said for what felt like the 100th time that day. "Yes, you are," Kelly insisted. "You know what else? Tom Brenner, the guy who kicked Max, is all over the local news. Turns out he's been in trouble before for being cruel to animals. People are saying you might have stopped him from hurting more animals in the future." After talking to his sister, Jason sat quietly, thinking about everything that had happened. One small moment, standing up for his dog, had turned into something much bigger. His agent texted, "3 major talk shows want you this week. Also, pet food company offering big contract for Max to be their spokesdog." Jason had to laugh at that. Max as a spokesdog. The small Jack Russell, who had been astray when Jason found him 5 years ago, was now becoming famous. Jason's thoughts were interrupted by another delivery. A large basket of dog biscuits shaped like bones with a note. "For the bravest dog in show business. From your friends at Central Casting." As the day ended, Jason decided he needed some quiet time away from all the attention. He turned off his phone, put on his jacket, and got Max's leash. "Come on, buddy. Let's go for a quiet walk in the park." But as they stepped outside, Jason realized that their quiet life might never be the same again. Jason and Max didn't make it far on their walk. As soon as they stepped into the park, people recognized them. Parents pointed them out to their children. Teenagers took photos with their phones. Dog owners came over to say hello. "There's the hero dog and his famous owner," one man said to his son. Jason tried to be polite, but after 15 minutes, he gave up. There were too many people wanting to talk to him and pet Max. He turned around and headed home. "So much for our quiet walk," Jason said to Max as they walked back. The small dog seemed happy with all the attention, wagging his tail at everyone who came near. Back at home, Jason checked his computer. He wanted to see what was happening with Tom, the man who had kicked Max. He found a news article saying that Tom would go to court in 2 weeks. The article also said that because of the videos showing what Tom did, and because he had been in trouble before, he might go to jail. The next morning, Jason's agent, Mike, came to his house for a meeting. "You won't believe the offers I've received," Mike said, showing Jason a list on his tablet. "TV shows, movie deals, book offers, all because of what happened with Max." Jason shook his head. "I don't want to make money from this." Mike nodded. "I thought you might say that. But there's something else." He showed Jason another message on his tablet. "The London Animal Shelter needs help. They're running out of space and money. They asked if you would visit and help raise awareness." This caught Jason's interest. "When do they want me to visit?" "Today, if possible," Mike said. "They're having an emergency adoption event this weekend. If more animals don't find homes, they'll have to make some hard decisions." Jason looked at Max, who was playing with one of his new toys. "Let's do it. Max is feeling better, and maybe we can help." 2 hours later, Jason and Max arrived at the London Animal Shelter. It was a simple building with a sign that had a dog and cat on it. Inside, the staff were surprised to see them. "We didn't think you'd actually come," said the shelter manager, a woman named Emma. She had short gray hair and kind eyes. "We've been overwhelmed lately. More animals are coming in than going out to new homes." Emma showed Jason around the shelter. There were dogs and cats of all sizes and colors. Some were old, some were very young. Some had been hurt and were healing. All needed homes. "This is Charlie," Emma said, pointing to a 3-legged dog. "He was hit by a car 2 months ago. He's a sweet boy, but no one wants to adopt him because of his missing leg." Jason knelt down and let Charlie sniff his hand. The dog wagged his tail and licked Jason's fingers. "And this is Daisy," Emma continued, showing him a small cat with one eye. "Someone found her in a trash bin. Can you believe that? Who would throw away a living creature?" Jason felt a mix of sadness and anger as he met more animals with sad stories. Max stayed close to him, sometimes sniffing the other animals curiously. "Here's our problem," Emma explained. "We have 30 more animals than we have space for. If they don't get adopted at the event this weekend, we don't know what we'll do." Jason thought for a moment. Then he had an idea. "Can I make some phone calls?" he asked. Emma nodded. "Of course." Jason stepped outside and called Mike. "I need you to contact all those TV shows that wanted to interview me," he said. "Tell them I'll do it, but only if they'll let me talk about the animal shelter and the adoption event. And I want to bring some of the animals with me." Mike sounded surprised. "All of them? That's a lot of TV shows." "All of them," Jason confirmed. "And call David too. Tell him I'll put Max in the movie, but I want to add something to the story." "What's that?" Mike asked. "My character should adopt a three-legged dog," Jason said, looking back at Charlie through the window. "I think I know the perfect actor for the role." The next day was very busy for Jason. He appeared on 3 morning TV shows. On each show, he brought a different animal from the shelter. On the first show, he brought Charlie, the three-legged dog. On the second, he brought Daisy, the one-eyed cat. On the third, he brought 2 tiny kittens that had been found under a porch. "These animals need homes," Jason said on each show. "They have so much love to give. Please come to the London Animal Shelter this weekend for the adoption event." The TV hosts were surprised. They had expected Jason to talk about his movies or about what happened with Max. Instead, he spent most of the time talking about the shelter animals. "What about the man who kicked your dog?" one host asked. "Are you angry with him?" Jason thought carefully before answering. "I was angry at first," he admitted. "But now I'm more concerned about helping animals who need homes. What happened with Max has opened my eyes to how many animals are suffering." By the afternoon, the animal shelter's phone was ringing nonstop. People were calling to ask about adopting the animals Jason had shown on TV. The shelter's website crashed because too many people were trying to look at it at once. Emma, the shelter manager, called Jason in tears. "You won't believe what's happening," she said. "We've already had 50 people sign up to come to the adoption event. That's more than we usually get all weekend." Jason smiled. "That's great news. But let's not stop there." That evening, Jason appeared on a popular talk show. This time, he brought Max with him. The audience cheered when they walked on stage. "Max has become quite the celebrity," the host said, petting the small dog. "How is he doing after his scary experience?" "He's doing well," Jason said. "The vet says he'll make a full recovery." Then Jason surprised everyone. He had arranged for 5 more shelter dogs to be brought on stage. The audience made sounds of surprise and delight as the dogs came out, each led by a shelter volunteer. "These are just a few of the many animals looking for homes at the London Animal Shelter," Jason explained. "Each has their own story. Some were abandoned, some were hurt, but all of them deserve a second chance." The talk show host, who clearly loved animals, got down on the floor to pet the dogs. "They're all so sweet," she said. "How could anyone not want them?" "People often want puppies or certain breeds," Jason explained. "But these mixed-breed dogs and older animals make wonderful pets too. They're so grateful for a loving home." Before the show ended, the host made a surprise announcement. "My husband and I have been thinking about getting a dog," she said, "and I've fallen in love with this one." She pointed to a small brown dog with floppy ears who had been sitting quietly next to her. "His name is Buddy," Jason said. "He's been at the shelter for 8 months." "Not anymore," the host said with a smile. "Buddy's coming home with me tonight." The audience cheered and clapped. Even the camera crew was wiping away tears. After the show, Jason's phone wouldn't stop buzzing with messages. His co-stars from past movies were calling to say they wanted to help. Directors, producers, and other celebrities were asking how they could support the animal shelter. Jason's agent called with more news. The pet food company that wanted Max as their spokesdog. They now want to donate a year's worth of food to the London Animal Shelter. That night, as Jason drove home with Max sleeping in the passenger seat, He thought about how much had changed in just a few days. What had started as a terrible moment, a man kicking his beloved dog, had turned into something unexpectedly powerful. The shelter's website was back online with a special message. Thanks to Jason Statham and Max, our adoption event will now run all week. We've had so many people wanting to adopt that we needed more time. Jason smiled as he drove. He couldn't wait to see what would happen at the adoption event. But first, there was one more thing he needed to do. Visit Tom Brenner, the man who had kicked Max. The next day, Jason visited the police station. He had asked for permission to talk to Tom Brenner, the man who had kicked Max. After some discussion, the police agreed to let them meet in a small room with an officer present. Tom looked very different now. His tough biker image was gone. He sat at a table, wearing a plain gray shirt, looking down at his hands. When Jason walked in, Tom seemed surprised. "Why are you here?" Tom asked. His voice was quiet, not angry like before. Jason sat across from him. "I wanted to understand," he said. "Why did you kick my dog?" Tom was silent for a long time. Then he spoke. "I lost all my money that day. I was angry. When I saw your dog, I just—" He stopped, unable to finish. "You took your anger out on someone smaller and weaker," Jason said. It wasn't a question. Tom nodded slowly. "I've done that before. With animals, with people. I get angry and I lash out." He looked up at Jason. "I've seen what's happening on TV. You're using this to help shelter animals." "Yes," Jason replied. "The shelter is holding a big adoption event this weekend." Tom looked down again. "My grandmother had a shelter dog. It was the only time I remember her being happy, when she was with that dog." His voice became softer. "I used to be scared of dogs after one bit me when I was a kid. But her dog was different." Jason listened without interrupting. He could see that Tom was struggling with something. "I'm going to jail, aren't I?" Tom finally asked. "That's up to the judge," Jason said. "But I have an idea. Would you be willing to do community service at an animal shelter? To learn about animals and maybe help them?" Tom looked surprised. "You would trust me around animals, after what I did?" "Not right away," Jason said honestly. "You would need to be supervised. But sometimes people do bad things because they're hurt or angry. Maybe helping animals could help you too." Later that day, Jason spoke to the police and to his lawyer. They agreed to suggest community service to the judge when Tom's case went to court. Tom would need to work at the shelter, take classes about animal care, and get help for his anger. The weekend came, and the animal shelter's adoption event was bigger than anyone had imagined. People lined up outside before the doors even opened. News vans parked nearby to cover the story. Jason arrived early with Max and Charlie, the three-legged dog who would be in his next movie. David, his director, came too, to meet Charlie and take photos for the film's social media. As the doors opened and people rushed in, Jason watched with a full heart. By noon, half the animals already had new homes. By evening, only a few were left. Emma, the shelter manager, hugged Jason with tears in her eyes. "We've never had an adoption day like this," she said. "Almost every animal has found a home." 1 week later, Tom Brenner stood before a judge. The courtroom was full of people curious about the case. The judge listened to the lawyers and looked at the evidence, including the videos of Tom kicking Max. "Mr. Brenner," the judge said, "what you did was cruel and wrong. You could go to jail for this." Tom lowered his head, knowing it was true. However, the judge continued, "I've received a letter from Mr. Statham suggesting an alternative." She explained the plan for community service at the animal shelter. "Are you willing to accept this?" Tom nodded. "Yes, Your Honor," he said. "I want to change." 1 month later, Jason visited the animal shelter with Max and Charlie. The shelter was different now, newly painted, with better cages and play areas. The pet food company's donation had helped improve everything. In a back room, supervised by Emma, Tom was carefully brushing a nervous cat. He looked up when Jason entered. "How's it going?" Jason asked. "It's hard sometimes," Tom admitted. "But good. I'm learning a lot." As Jason left the shelter, a reporter stopped him. "Mr. Statham, your story has inspired animal protection laws in 3 countries now. How does that feel?" Jason smiled and looked down at Max and Charlie walking by his side. "It feels like one small moment can change many lives," he said, "including my own." Later that evening, as Jason relaxed at home with his dogs, he thought about everything that had happened. A single act of standing up for what was right had created a wave of good that was still spreading. Sometimes the most heroic moments don't happen in movies. They happen in ordinary places, when someone decides to do the right thing, even when it's difficult. And those real-life heroes, like the people adopting shelter animals, the shelter workers, and maybe someday even Tom, those were the heroes worth celebrating.